Okay, so let's do this thumbnail. Hi. Oh hey guys, and welcome to another video, and as you can tell from the title, this is going to be my big birthday book haul. Now I have a lot of books to show you. I think there's around 20 something, which is kind of ridiculous. I received a few of these as gifts from my family. There are also some books that I have been lent this month from my friends. There is also a lot of books that I bought on my Kindle because, as you know, I am trying to load up my Kindle before I go to Australia. I want to be able to take my entire library in one little thing. Oh, hello camera. Look at that. That's professional, right? So I am just going to dive straight into it. The first book is actually one that I got months ago but I never hauled, and that is Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. Now, I won this in a giveaway over at Books and Pieces channel. She usually talks a lot about sci-fi and fantasy, which I'm not a huge reader of, so I always find her videos interesting. And she was doing a giveaway where for the prize you chose something from the Sci-Fi Masterworks collection, and since I've never read any Kurt Vonnegut before, I decided to pick this one up. I don't know too much about it, but on the back it mentions a crazed dictator and midgets. So that's interesting. The next book I have is Unrest by Michelle Harrison, and I have actually almost finished this. I was lent this by a friend, and this is sort of a YA ghost story that sort of also deals with possession. In this book, our main character has a near-death experience, and he finds that when he goes to sleep, he sort of astral projects out of his body, and there are ghosts who are trying to get into his body while he has vacated it. I'll save what I'm thinking about this book for my wrap-up. So far, it's kind of spooky, and also has a love interest. The next set of books that I got were kind of my biggest bargain of the month, and that was the Stray series by Rachel Vincent. I bought the first 5 in a bookshop in a box set, and it was only £5, so that's literally £1 a book. When I went to the desk, they said, there's the last one, and you can have it for free. I'm not going to turn down those 3 books. This is an urban fantasy werewolf series. I went through a phase when I was a little bit younger where I pretty much exclusively read urban fantasy. I was super into it, and I haven't read any new series in quite a while, so I just thought I would pick this one up because it definitely was a bargain. Next book I have was sent to me by a fellow booktuber, and that is 13 by... where's the author? Oh, Tom Hoyle. This was sent to me by the wonderful Megan Olivier, as we actually share the exact same birthday, although she is probably younger than me. In this story, there is sort of a cult who makes it their mission to kill anybody who was born at midnight on a certain day. And it turns out that there were 13 people born at midnight, and our character is number 13 and the last one still alive. Sounds like a really unique and interesting fast-paced story, and I love the book because it says his days are numbered, and then it's got them all crossed out on the side. It's just little details like that that really make good presentation. They're dying one by one. The next book I actually received at a book event, and that is Rebecca Newton and the Sacred Flame by Mario Ruti. This is sort of a YA fantasy series that deals with Greek mythology, and you know I really love Greek mythology. This story, I believe a modern girl sort of gets sent to a different world where there are centaurs and minotaurs, and she has to defeat these evil gods. This pretty much seems like it would be Percy Jackson if she was a female. If she was a female, if he was a female. But yes, at the book event for this, I actually had my palm read, and the woman told me that I was going to live a very long life. And I don't care if she was just telling me what I want to hear, I am going with it. Next book I have to show you I actually bought myself, sort of a rebuy, because I must have lent out my copy to somebody and they never returned it. And it is Little Children by Tom Perrotta. This is a really good book. It basically deals with 2 single parents who meet at their local swimming pool and the development of their relationship, but it also tells you the perspective of a paedophile who has just joined the community. Also a movie version of this starring Patrick Wilson and Kate Winslet, which is really good. Very creepy in places because of the paedophilia connection, but overall, both the book and the movie I definitely recommend. One is the last of the physical books I have to show you before I jump onto the many that I bought on my Kindle, and that is The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. Now, I really love horror books, and it's surprising how little I've actually read considering that it's one of my favourite genres, and it's surprising that I've never actually read a Clive Barker book. This is obviously the one that inspired Pinhead from the Hellraiser series. I think I always assumed that Clive Barker was kind of a pulpy writer, but apparently he's actually really good, and his books have a great cult following, so I'm really excited to start this one, and it's super short, which is always appealing. So now we get onto the many Kindle books that I bought this month. Received quite a few Amazon gift cards for my birthday, and as I have no self-control, I pretty much spent them within 2 days. The first one I am going to talk about is Fire and Flood by Victoria Scott. Now this one really wasn't on my radar so much. I knew it was a dystopian, but then I saw Reagan from Prue's Project haul it, and she basically described it as Hunger Games meets Pokemon. After that, my interest just poof. I've been on a bit of a dystopian kick lately, so I picked this up because it is actually 99p on Amazon right now. Whether it is still 99p when you're watching this is a different matter. You know, who's going to turn down a book at 99p? And with the Pokemon connection, I just couldn't refuse it. Mew agrees with me. The next two are going to be ones that I received from NetGalley, and the first is going to be Amity by Michael Owitz. Or Mikal Owitz? Don't know how to say it with that spelling. This is sort of a YA retelling of the Amityville Horror, I believe. Just really liked the sound of it. I did not like the cover. It's not very good, is it? But yeah, don't know too much, but I am excited to read it. One I received from NetGalley is Brutal Youth by Anthony Breznikia. Something like that. I really should remember these things. But this basically deals with a posh private boarding school. From what I could gather from the blurb, it actually deals with a story where everyone is a bully or juvenile delinquent in some way. Just than the students are the teachers themselves. It was one of those books that really just sort of jumped out to me as I read the blurb. So I requested it and I got sent it, and it's another one that I am really excited to read. I'm gonna have no time on my hands once I get around to reading all these booktuber problems. The next one I'm going to mention is something that it's a little different from me because it is actually a comic, and I have not read many comics. So to test out more fairly whether comics would be something that I would enjoy, I borrowed my friend's Kindle because he is super into comics, and I just sort of picked one at random, and that is going to be the New X-Men by Grant Morrison. Really enjoyed the X-Men, and I really liked the movies, and I used to watch the cartoon when I was younger, so this was going to be the one I was most familiar with. I should be able to get through these pretty quickly, and I will let you know in my wrap-up whether I enjoyed it or not. The next one I picked up was the Hallowed Ones by Laura Bickle. Now my enthusiasm for this book can literally be summed up in one sentence, and that is simply the Amish fighting vampires. I mean, how amazing does that sound? It should start off a whole series. I want to see Amish versus werewolves, Amish versus zombies. I want them all. The next books I have to show you are The Last Policeman and its sequel Countdown City from Quirk Books. I was sent these for review. This basically deals with the pre-apocalypse. There is a meteor, as you can tell from this cover, and it is heading towards Earth, and it will hit. So everyone goes a bit crazy, and our main character is a policeman who decides to carry on his job in the face of the apocalypse. It sounds like a really interesting story simply because I think it answers the question of why bother continuing to fight for the peace if the world is going to end soon. I also like that this series is going to be pre-apocalyptic and not post-apocalyptic, because it just sort of makes it stand out a bit more from the crowd. Next two books I bought are The Giver by Lois Lowry and its sequel, which I've forgotten the title for. Now, I always hear The Giver mentioned, but I never hear the rest of the series. It is apparently a quadrilogy, I believe is the word or the term. Wanted to see what else there was to the story, because I just don't hear about them enough. If any of you have read this one, please leave me some comments below telling me what you thought of it, and whether you have actually read the sequels, and whether they are worth reading. The next book I have to talk about is one that I'm super excited for, and it is The House of Bathory by... I did memorize the authors beforehand, but this is one that has gone away from me. Now this all deals with the Norwegian, I think she's Norwegian? If another country is flashing on screen right now, I was wrong. I believe she was Norwegian and she was a countess who basically murdered a lot of people. The Countess Bathory was supposedly a serious narcissist, and she sort of took clinging to her youth to a completely new level, because she would bathe in the blood of virgins, apparently. We as a society do some crazy things to cling to our youth, but I think this is the most hardcore way I have ever heard about. In that though, I am super interested in the Countess story. I've actually seen a couple of movies about it, but I have never read a book, which is surprising. I am excited to read it. The next book I am going to mention is finally the last one. We have gone on for quite a while today, and the last one is going to be Red by Jack Ketchum. Look at that little puppy. Now this is quite a sad story because it basically deals with an old man who has one friend in his whole life, and that is his dog Red. But sadly Red is in fact murdered by a group of youths. Damn that youth of today. So the rest of this story follows Red's owner as he goes out for revenge, and I hope they get what's coming to them. Knowing this is a Jack Ketchum novel, they are going to get what comes to them in a very gory and very painful way, which I'm surprisingly all for. I've also read a few Jack Ketchum books before, and they've always been really gory and really pulpy and just enjoyable in a sick way. So I am excited to read this one, and down with the youths. So this has been a super long video. Kudos to you if you stuck it out this long. As always, if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned, please leave me some comments below, telling me what you thought of them. And I guess that is going to be all from me for today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I shall see you soon with another one. Goodbye!